Welcome back to Manzoor's EVS tutorials. Today our topic is levels of biodiversity. There are three important levels of biodiversity: genetic diversity, species diversity and ecosystem diversity. First we will take up genetic diversity. If we see individuals of the same species, they vary or they differ from each other. This difference in individuals of same species is due to genes. So this genetic diversity is due to variation in genes. And this genetic diversity, it is we can say it is the variations or differences which are present in the individuals of same species. For example, we all human beings, we belong to same species, but there are variations within us. We all look different in one way or other way, sometimes due to our height, color, or skin color, or hair color, or some other characteristic which makes us different from each other. So in genetic diversity, there are differences or variations in within individuals of same species. So there are variations within individuals of same species, and this group of same species we call it population. So we can say genetic diversity is found in population only. Population. And what is genetic diversity? It is variation or differences which are present in individuals of same species. For example, we all human beings, we look differently. That is genetic diversity. Second is species diversity. Species diversity. Species diversity is the variations or differences which are present in species. For example, we see different species. For example, cow, goat, sheep, cattle, sheep, buffalo. They all belong to different species and they all vary from each other. These differences or variations which are present among the species or between the species is called species diversity. And this different species occupying some area, we call it community. So we can say species diversity is present in community. Community. So community is group of two or more species occupying some area, that is community. So species diversity is present in community, or we can say species diversity like this. Species diversity is number of species present in some area. So species diversity, we can say it is the variations or differences which are present among different species, or we can say number of species occupying some particular area is species diversity. Whenever we talk of species diversity, there come up two terms: species richness and species diversity. Species evenness. Species diversity is same as species richness is same as species diversity. It tells us about number of species present in some ecosystem. For example, there are 5 species present in some ecosystem. So the species richness of that ecosystem is 5. So it is number of species present in an ecosystem. Now this species evenness, it tells us about relative abundance of individuals present in species. So for example, we are having 5 species. Each species, one species having 10 we are having 5 species. For example, these species are A, B, C, D, E. This has 10 members, this has 5, this has 7 members, this has 6, this has 11, for example. So This species evenness, it tells us about the relative abundance of individuals of species present in some area. So it tells us about relative abundance of individuals of species present in some area. For example, if we see out of all these, this species, its species evenness is high. So species evenness has to deal with number of individuals of species, number of individuals present within a species. Now this ecosystem diversity. If you see all the ecosystems, they vary from each other. For example, they are different from each other. Their faunal and floral species, they are different. So so these ecosystems, they look different from each other. Their functions are somewhat different. Their importance, they provide different types of services, and they provide different types of goods for human beings. Ecosystem diversity tells us about the variations or differences which are present among the ecosystems. It's like this. Species diversity was telling us about the differences or variations which are present among the species, among different species. This ecosystem diversity, it is telling us about the variations or differences which are present among different ecosystems. So it tells us about variations or differences present among different ecosystems. For example, if we see forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, pond ecosystem, desert ecosystem, all these ecosystems, they are different from each other. This variation or difference in these ecosystems would be called ecosystem diversity. If we combine all these diversities, they will make up biodiversity. So biodiversity is sum total of all these diversities: genetic diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity. All these diversities, they combined form biodiversity. Or inversely, we can say like this: genetic diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity, it is part of biodiversity. We can see these biodiversities, they are part of these biodiversity. Or we can say they come under the umbrella of biodiversity. One more important thing, you might have come across different terms like alpha diversity, beta diversity, gamma diversity, These indices, they help in measuring the biodiversity. These alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity, they help us in measuring the biodiversity. So what they help in, they are actually, when we are to measure the biodiversity of an area, we take help of these indices. So measuring the biodiversity. So under measuring of biodiversity, we will study alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. Now, what is alpha diversity? Alpha diversity is like this species diversity. It is this alpha diversity, it tells us about number of species present in a community, for example, or ecosystem. So what is alpha diversity? Alpha diversity is number of species, just number of species which are present in a community or in an ecosystem. For example, we are having 100 these species present in some particular community or in some particular ecosystem. We call alpha diversities of this very ecosystem or of this community is 100. Second is beta diversity. Beta diversity, it takes up somewhat larger unit. It compares the biodiversity of two different ecosystems. This beta diversity, what it does, it compares biodiversity of two different ecosystems, and it sees the unique species. It takes the unique sees the unique species which are present in each ecosystem. So what is beta diversity? Beta diversity, uh, it it compares the diversity of two different ecosystems and studies the unique ecosystems, unique species which are present in each ecosystem. Gamma diversity, it takes it takes different ecosystems which are present in large geographic area and sees the biodiversity which is present in the large geographic area. So we can say gamma diversity is the diversity of or species richness of large geographic area. So it is diversity or species richness of large geographic area. So यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं large geographic area. Geographic area. Gamma diversity. We will recapitulate this. So under measuring of biodiversity, we study these terms: alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. Alpha diversity is number of species present in a community, right? This beta diversity is, it compares the species or biodiversity which is present in different ecosystems and tries to study the unique species which are present in each ecosystem. Gamma diversity, it is the diversity or species richness of large geographic area. Besides, sometimes, thank you.